We're trying to kind of work out a deal. But, it's something coming in, so we're trying to be creative here. That's what we do. Creativeness is a beautiful thing. Did you hear what happened or see what happened? And all these TV cameras all lined up to hear the Mandalay Bay security guard was, shot by Stephen Paddock in the moments leading up to the worst mass shooting in U.S. history. Remember that? Well, he was going to break his silence last night with 5 television interviews, including one on Fox News Channel, Campos Union president said. But except that when the cameras were about to roll and the media gathered into the building to talk to him, Campos reportedly bolted. And as of early this morning, it wasn't immediately clear what was going on. That's right, security guard Jesus Campos, he disappeared. Not sure what in the world went on with that. One reporter said, we were in the room and we came out and he was gone. Campos Union president told reporters, according to ABC News, Stephanie Wash. Campos is represented by the International Union Security Police and Fire Professionals of America, which did not respond to comments by the media. And Fox News' Sean Hannity, he was tweeting out on about Campos, who was scheduled to appear on Hannity and canceled his appearance. So Hannity, of course, you got a producer, you can always interview somebody else. You can stretch the show out, but that was a little disappointing because little is known about Campos. There's few pictures that have emerged of the security guard and no really apparent, from what experts are saying, online footprint surfacing to provide details about one of the really central figures of the mass shooting. But nobody really knows why he canceled the appearances. You don't know if the FBI pressured him, if family pressured. He doesn't want his face shown, doesn't want the media publicity. I mean, I would understand that. Can't fault him that. I mean, but all sorts of speculation. Being a target, maybe? Maybe the FBI told them not to do it. I mean, we know there's just one shooter. I mean, there's conspiracy theories out there that there's more than 2 or 3 shooters, 5 shooters. I mean, all sorts of just. What was the strobe light? People are talking about the strobe light still. It's crazy. I don't go there. I know there's people, and I'm not making fun of them on the station that may run. You listen to them. But honest to goodness, this is how they make their living. Do you hear any advertising on their show other than the end of the world coming and buy this food? I mean, seriously, because that's the only one that could put their money, their dollars, because it's so controversial. That nobody's going to stick their money there with their mouth. I mean, come on. You're spewing out that kind of stuff every single day. And we don't always hear the truth. I understand this. I understand why people don't trust. I mean, I get that. But clearly, it was such a spectacle. And it doesn't take forensic scientists to be able to gather that there was this guy, and very public, very internationally covered by reporters all over the world. This guy acted alone. There was no other shooters. The cell phone footage was put together. The timeline with the security guard, the maintenance worker, and the breakdown of how many minutes it is. They're still stride. The MGM is fighting with the FBI and saying that you can't trust what the FBI. I have no idea what that's about. Semantics. You can argue about those. One thing you can't argue about, unfortunately, is that there was 58 Americans died. Over 500 were wounded. Some life-threatening. Some have maimed, crippled. People lost eyeballs. All sorts of terrible ailments as a result of this. And then the PTSD, the trauma that people have lived through, the innocence or whatever they might have had is gone. And that's sad. That's sad. Really saddens me that, the innocence, I guess that's a good way of putting it. It's, it seems like more and more of that is just eroding from our country, the innocence. Yeah. And robbing that from them. And it's just one of those things where, you shake your head, you put your head down, you have to say a prayer, dear God, and take a breath. Life does go on. And for the most part, in Vegas, everything's kind of back to normal again. I mean, people going out to conventions, life, it has to go on. Bad things happen, and they will happen. They will continue to happen. Hopefully, no time soon does anybody get this hair up their rear end from medication or from strange brains or from demon oppression, as I allude to. I think evil overshadows people because they allow them to happen. They get into a dark place, and they fantasize about these things because they're under the influence. You talk about ISIS. I think ISIS is inspired by the devil. I really do. I think it's evil. It's something that man's been plagued with for many, many years. Cain kills Abel in the Bible and all of that. That stuff just continues. We're capable of some pretty bad things. I would never think to do these things, and hope to God I would never. I mean, I've never had a single inkling thought about doing anything to anybody, wishing anybody dead. Even my worst, what I would consider somebody that I didn't like, would even want them. I pray for my enemies. But that's a Christian thing to do, and I really mean it. Is that I'm always confused why somebody would have that much hatred in their heart. The only person that might seemingly be able to get through to them might be God through somebody, or to stop that person if they're plotting any evil. But there's thank God, I believe in guardian angels, that half the things that could happen every single day don't. And it's still true, which the FBI says it's true, folks, that if there's ISIS investigations or Al-Qaeda sympathizers in over 50 states, okay, or 50 states, if you will, all 50 states. It's not like Obama saying there was the 51st, unless that was Puerto Rico, because it looks like we're going. I mean, we're going to have to adopt them with the amount of money. There's going to have to just be an extra star sewn on that flag. Seamstresses are going to have a big job on their hands. Anyways, I digress. Yellowstone may have a problem on their hands sooner rather than later. And there's a super volcano there. And seismologists and researchers have analyzed minerals around the super volcano at Yellowstone Park and have come to a startling conclusion. Did you know this? It could blow faster than previously expected, and potentially wiping out life as we know it. This is according to National Geographic. Now, the researchers, Hannah Shamblow and Christy Till, they were analyzing minerals in fossilized ash from the most recent eruption, which they discovered. It surprised them. The changes in temperature, they say, the composition only took a few decades, much faster than the centuries previously thought. They said we expected that there might be processes happening over thousands of years preceding the eruption, said Till in an interview with the New York Times. But the supervolcano last erupted some 630,000 years ago, according to National Geographic. Prior to that, I don't know how they know this, but it's pretty amazing, 1.3 million years. Per a report from ZME Science. And then if another eruption were to take place, the researchers found that the supervolcano would spare almost nothing in its wrath. It would shoot 2,500 times more material than Mount St. Helen did back in 1980 and could cover most of the contiguous U.S. in ash, possibly putting the planet into a volcanic winter. This new discovery, which was presented in August after a previous version of the study, comes after another study in 2011, which found that magma reservoir in Yellowstone had moved considerably, gaining about 10 inches in 7 years. Can you believe that? 7 inches. It's extraordinarily uplift because if it covers such a large area and the rates are so high, the University of Utah's Bob Smith, an expert at Yellowstone volcano, told National Geographic 6 years ago. So despite the concerns about an eruption happening relatively soon, Champloo told the Times that more research, of course, needed to be done before a definitive conclusion could be drawn. And this past June, the super volcano was hit with more than 400 earthquakes in 1 week. Researchers caution, though, it was nothing to be alarmed about. And here's a very interesting factoid. You ever watch End of Days? They've got the asteroids and all. There's a lot of those type of movies out there that have been made, but NASA is working on a way to prevent this super volcano or any volcano on the planet from destroying mankind. And what they're looking at specifically, trying to cool the magma before it spills over. That stuff's hot, man. I mean, it can melt steel. That's pretty friggin' hot. But to melt it, to shut down the melting capability. Yeah, because it's going to be melting everything. But there's definitely a rise. Definitely got scientists on edge. And if NASA does their job, that would be really cool. No pun intended there. But yeah, cool the magma. That's what we're trying to do. That's what NASA's trying to do. Now, that would be clever. Save the planet. They would be heroes. Hopefully they got a good batch made up real soon that if that happens, they got some apparatuses around the volcano that could spray down it, or how that would all come to be, I don't know. But we'll be studying that story. I don't think they got stuff set up to do that. They've been working with them. But it's what it says. The NASA's working on a way. They're working on a way. It doesn't say that they have a way right now. And if they believe that this thing's going to blow and blow up the planet, that would be, do you think that'd be priority 101? The super volcano in Yellowstone could send us in a volcanic winter. That's kind of disturbing information. It's true. It could happen. Yeah. Here's a very interesting story about only 2 chicks are surviving. And when I'm talking about chicks, I'm talking about penguin chicks. And this is a really odd story because about 40,000 Adele penguins in Antarctica suffered a catastrophic breeding event after French scientists discovered only 2 chicks survived at the start of the year. The second time in the past 4 years, the population has been ravaged by starvation. That's according to The Guardian. In response to the breeding tragedy, researchers are now seeking the creation of a marine protected area in East Antarctica. Scientists found thousands. It breaks your heart. You can see pictures of dead unhatched chicks in East Antarctica, which have been attributed to an unusual amount of sea ice coupled with extensive rain that left the colony of about 18,000 breeding penguin pairs traveling longer distance to find food and chicks struggling to keep dry and warm. The colony suffered a similar occurrence in 2013 where no chicks survived. Recently, Antarctica has had some low numbers of summer sea ice, but the area around the colony was an exception. Metz glacier tongue cracking off in 2010 also played a significant role in the region, according to The Guardian. And Mertz's glacier impact on the region sets the scene for 2010 when an unusual meteorological event